What's up, guys? Welcome to the Nerd Talk podcast, Nerdy Talk for nerdy fans. I'm your host, Remington, guys, and we got a special guest joining me on my spoiler review for the Superman movie. Joining us today is Mark Lee from Voices from Fandom.
Hey, how you guys doing? How you doing, brother? Hey, do they call you Remy for short? Do they say Remy?
Sometimes, depending on who's talking to me, yeah.
Yeah, I'm too lazy to say your entire first name, dude.
Oh, that's fine.
Remington. See how long that took?
Yeah.
Remington. My God, man. I grew 10 years older just saying your name. Remy. Hey, Remy. There you go.
Yeah, I like it. So tell the people kind of where what you do.
Well, if you got a couple hours, I can probably cover everything right now. But basically, just like Remy, I'm a digital content creator. I have a number of shows that I run on my own network, the NBL Entertainment Network, and that is Saturday Morning Cartoons, which we do every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Every other Friday, starting with this Friday, of course. I do Classic Television SmackDown, where we talk about Saturday mornings, of course, we talk about old cartoons. Classic Television SmackDown, we talk about old television shows. I do this show that you see over my shoulder, right? That way. There you go. Voices from Fandom, which along with my co-host, and I have co-hosts, two other co-hosts for all three of these shows. We just talk about fandom in general. Good grief. I've been a show host and a moderator for conventions for, hold on to your pants, 40 years. I'm one of the pro moderators for Dragon Con. I've been moderating Dragon Con for a bunch of decades. I can't tell you how many. I don't know, be honest with you. And believe it or not, one of the panels that I moderated was James Gunn and his brother. You know, I sat down with them for an hour to an audience of people a few years back when his hair was still black. And spent many hours with him at a rooftop bar in one of the hotels that housed part of the convention, because Dragon Con is, of course, over 5 hotels. And one of the hotels, we spent time up there through the night just drinking and talking and drinking. It was pretty cool. So that's me. That's enough.
That's awesome. Yeah, and of course, you guys know me. I'm Remington, host of the Nerd Talk podcast. You know, so that's what. Hopefully, you know who I am if you're listening.
You are a cheap organization, dude. You don't even have any canned applause or anything. I got to do all the work here.
Oh, all right. But the cape is back, folks. The shield is shining, and Superman will be officially in theaters this weekend. And you know I had to talk about it, but this ain't your regular review. This is the spoiler zone. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, this is your final flight warning. Turn back now or risk knowing what Lex Luthor's been cooking up for y'all. So spoiler alert, full plot details ahead. My opinion on the movie swings really big with a new suit, new tone, and a bold reintroduction to the Man of Steel for a new era and a new audience. But does it soar or does it crash into the Daily Planet building? From that shocking third act twist to Superman's big showdown with Lex Luthor, we're breaking it all down. Let's fly right into it. Mark, how big of a Superman fan were you before going into this movie?
Enormous Superman fan, but as you can see, I'm wearing my Batman shirt on. It doesn't mean I'm not a Superman fan. You
right.
Know, I couldn't find my Superman shirt, which is similar to this, to wear on this program, so I apologize for that. But I'm huge. I'm a huge Superman fan.
I was big into the Superman comics as a kid. I really liked Justice Society. I like a lot of the team books he did. Legion of Superheroes. I like Superman the Animated Series. I'm a 90s kid. I grew up watching that on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
I like the Christopher Reeve movies. I was a fan of Man of Steel, but with that giving said, I didn't like Henry Cavill as the main Superman. I always thought Man of Steel was a good, like, Elseworld take, but I've always wanted the big Boy Scout, we got today, and I was really excited when I saw that with this movie. I think it was very good, interpretation. I think it served the comics justice. And, I like to compare it. The first thing I said leaving the theater was it reminds me a lot of the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, where it's got a lot of different things going on, showing Superman in his daily life, not just stopping bad guys, but saving citizens. I think that's something a lot of comic book movies are missing out nowadays, is you see them fighting these huge villains. You see them fighting robots, aliens, all this stuff, but you don't see them really like helping out the citizens. You don't see them, saving a cat from a tree, kind of stuff you see in the comics because it's got more time to expand on it. And I really like that about this movie. Yeah, but we're going to dive into the negatives because I could talk about the positives all day. So the negative list might be a little shorter. What didn't you like about this movie?
Oh, you want me to go right into the negatives? Okay.
Oh,
yeah, because I had a lot of positives to talk about too.
Yeah, which is why I'll give the whole second part of this the positive. I could talk the positives all day.
Yeah, that's true. The negative was I had three characters in this movie that I think were miscast. And this is a spoiler show. I write spoiler-free reviews. So this is the first time that I'm actually spoiling a movie before the majority of my friends, I say 99.9% of my friends have actually gone to the theaters to see it. I did put out a warning too and say, look, Remy's running a full-blown spoiler. I can't understand people that don't mind spoilers. I mean, good God, dude. I mean, I never have to give you a birthday cake because you know to expect it. So that saved me some money right there. So there were three characters in this movie, and I guess I could say their names then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There are three characters I thought were miscast. Okay. Number one was Nathan Fillion. I've moderated or introduced a ton of stage stuff for Nathan. I hosted a panel with Nathan and Alec Tudyk. We did a Firefly panel together, and Nathan doesn't need a moderator. He's he's just like you see him on the screen. He's the same on the stage as he is on the screen. And when I saw him on the screen in this character role, I knew almost immediately, it's like, oh my God, he's playing Nathan. So I'm thinking the reason that he even got into this movie is probably because, number one, his friendship with James Gunn, and number two, because Nathan was already in Guardians of the Galaxy as a character, and somehow he weaseled his way into the Superman movie. I thought I needed a younger looking Guy Gardner. Okay, the anger was there. It's easy to do that. It's easy to be an a-hole. Can you curse on this show, by the way?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. Full curse.
Well, fucking A, man. I mean, it's easy to be a fucking asshole, okay? And that's fine, but Nathan visually didn't fit the part. And that's probably the only thing I had against that. So that's Nathan Fillion. The other one that didn't fit, and I'm calling it as miscast, but I think if they had directed her a little better, she may have portrayed herself differently in this, but that would be Hawk Girl. I did not like Hawk Girl. I love the scream. I love the projection of the screeching hawk sound that she made. That was fantastic. I was really turned on by that, but she was not a strong enough character for me. I being a fan of animated Superman series, Justice League International, things of that nature, where you literally saw Hawk Girl in all of those iterations. Shut up, Alexa. Sorry. I wanted to see that version of Hawk Girl. I wanted to see the animated series Hawk Girl in this role. This Hawk Girl was a little too dainty for me, a little too I don't maybe prima donna-ish. I don't know. She didn't strike me. Then the third character that I thought was miscast was Metamorpho. Okay.
I'll agree with you on the Metamorpho thing. I was gonna say that as
Yeah.
one of the miscasts.
Metamorpho was miscast. This should have been sort of like a gangster who turned into. I really don't know too much of Metamorpho's origins, but I'm gonna basically tell you what I've seen, especially on the animated series, and that is Metamorpho was a little bit more gruff, a little bit more gangsterish, and where the hell did the baby come from? I don't know. So that's my take on what I didn't like. Number one, that was the casting of those three characters. Who I did like, probably my favorite, was Mr. Terrific. I love Mr. Terrific. His part in this movie was fantastic. He should have been called Mr. Fantastic, but I think that name was already stolen by somebody else who we're to see soon. And my tied with probably number one, Mr. Terrific, tied with Crypto. Holy mackerel. I was disappointed in the trailers when I first saw Crypto because I grew up with the cartoon series, 1966 cartoon series of Superman and Superboy that showed us Crypto. We've always seen Crypto as a short-haired, smoothly groomed kind of dog.
Right.
The interaction between Superman and Crypto was perfect. That was fantastic, incredible. The look wasn't there. The look is wrong. And hearing an interview from James Gunn, he based Crypto on his own dog. And his dog almost looks like that, but dark-haired, kind of whatever breed that is or whatever. And the action of James Gunn's dog was the same as Crypto in Superman, so he says. Okay, so that's probably my biggest negative. Thank God I'm going to go see this tomorrow night, so now I can concentrate on other features of the movie and nitpick it a little bit more. But I think that's my biggest negatives on that, Remy, were the three people that were cast. Yeah, that's it. The three people that were cast. I can't even say the action in it was wrong. The interaction between him and you-know-who was fantastic. I didn't expect the mushiness that was in this movie, but I actually enjoyed it, but that's basically it. So, I'll let you talk. Ask me more questions when you're ready.
Well, when I walked out of the theater, my out of theater reaction was it was about 85% there. I think it's 85% there as a movie. The things I didn't like are going to sound very nitpicky about the film. You had already brought it up. I didn't like the casting of Metamorpho. I think he was kind of too soft, but I know they were going to turn somebody soft, and I'm just glad it wasn't the black guy, because it could have easily been that, Mr. Terrific was fantastic. He was like an outstanding part of the movie. And I had no hope for him going into this movie. All I thought from the trailers is, they're going to mess up another black superhero and then blame it on him being black. But they actually made him pretty gangster in here. I liked him. He was one of my favorite highlights. But a big negative I had was the music in the movie. It felt like they teased you with the John Williams score, but they were afraid to go that full one. They'd go dun, 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 dun,
But I'm glad they didn't
finish it off.
Yeah. But Remy, I gotta interject here for a minute. I'm sorry, my friend. I did not want to hear a John Williams score. This is and like I wrote in my review, this is forget all of the past Superman movies you've ever seen. Forget them. Get them out of your brain. Get them out of your mind. Do not compare with all the other Superman movies and this Superman. This is a completely different. This is a comic book freak's haven, okay, in this movie. So don't expect the other stuff, which had its own separate problems. Each one, maybe not the first one. I think the first one is the Holy Grail, and you can't touch that one. But ignore them all and go into this thinking comic bookish. What
Mhm.
I've always hoped for, us as geeks, nerds, I'm kind of middle of the road, middle of the fence in my geekdom and my nerddom, dude. But my leg is on the other side of that fence in the land of mundanes, things of that nature. And just like Star Trek: The Voyage Home, which brought in a hell of a lot of people that were not us,
Right.
because it had great writing, and the association that people could pick up on in that film stuck and made it as successful as it was. This movie, the actors, the other characters that are in this movie, other than Superman, okay, the mundanes won't know what's going on. Who's that? What's he got to do with Superman? Superman's got a dog, and that's the big one right there.
It's funny that you say that because I was in line for popcorn, and they had the little crypto like popcorn buckets, and the
Yeah.
girl next to me goes, "Hey, what movie is that for?" I said, "That's Superman." They're like, "Superman has a dog?" I was like, "Yeah." Like I got the conversations about just because of the popcorn bucket. So it's funny that you
Right.
brought that up.
So with us geeks and nerds already knowing what's going on, whether we picked it up in the trailer and did our research, or we automatically knew we're uber geeks, so we know that's more Metamorpho right there.
Mhm.
Okay, we know that's Mr. Terrific, was probably the least known character because I think he's newer than everybody else.
Yeah.
I think people say, well, what the hell? I'm gonna tell you one thing here. It may sound a little racist, okay, but I was thinking like I think the racists would think. Why is the black guy in blackface?
I heard somebody actually say that in the theater. So
Yes. No. I'm not going to turn around and spend an hour explaining to someone who doesn't know who the hell Mr. Terrific is, who Mr. Terrific is.
Right.
I'm not going to do it. Yes, that's a big T on his face. It's not blackface, but it's just ammunition for those that want to say, see.
Yeah.
So it's like the mundanes are going to question certain things, and I hope they ignore the questions and enjoy the quality of the movie and just accept them as some sort of character in these movies and not worry about how these people came about, where they're from, what team are they a part of, what the hell they're doing in the Superman movie.
Right. But my whole
Yeah.
thing about the John Williams thing is you either go for the full theme or you don't do it at all. And teasing me just made me want it more. And it just every time I heard it, I was like, okay, and then all right, and then it just
But you know what, Remy? I love this country because I get to disagree.
Right. Oh yeah. I love when people disagree with me. It makes for a more interesting conversation.
So where I started was get Superman out of your brain. Everything's new, everything's fresh, everything you've never seen before in a Superman movie, let's say. And I really wanted more creativity, especially on the music. And yes, I did hear snippets of what you're saying with John Williams. I got really, really pissed off when I heard an electric guitar. Okay, fine. You want to play some John Williams music in there? Don't bastardize it. Okay,
right. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's a tease. I get it, but good God, come in low, under the radar, sweet, massage the hell out of my ears, make love to me. No. I'm scratching my eyes out in the theater, right? So I'm a big soundtrack guy, whether it's Saturday morning cartoon theme songs. I know theme songs for every freaking, from Gilligan's Island to, Petticoat Junction to whatever. I'm big on soundtracks. John Williams is one of my favorite. John Barry is one of my favorite. Bernard Herrmann is one of my favorite. You do hear a little bit of Hans Zimmer's Superman in this. I heard it.
Absolutely.
James is stealing from Hans. I heard a little bit about that. But overall, I like the soundtrack. It's not.
Oh, I like the soundtrack too. I'm gonna definitely buy it when it comes out. It's gonna be like number one on my list.
Yeah, it's.
Like I
Go
said,
ahead. I'm sorry, dude.
I have minor gripes with this movie. It's like very nitpicky stuff. It didn't affect my overall enjoyment of the movie. It's just something like it was one of the things that stuck out for me when I walked out of the theater.
Yeah. I mean, and that's cool. That's okay. My focus was on the movie. Theme music. Sorry about that. I actually was turning you on, in another box here. But I like the music. It wasn't a standard. Well, I shouldn't even use the word standard because he basically only did it in two movies, and that was James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxies Volume 1 and Volume 2. Music soundtrack.
Classics.
That was appropriate for Guardians and Galaxy, and appropriate in the sense that it was new, it was original, it was fresh. It's like, oh, look what he's doing. He took way back music and he's throwing it into a superhero movie which I didn't want to see in the first place. Right. There were so many Marvel characters out there. What the hell are you doing? Jumping from, I don't know, whoever was the last Iron Man, Thor, whatever, who was next, to Guardians of the Galaxy? You're not finished the whole freaking gallery of superheroes out there. You went to Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, that movie's gonna suck. Love being wrong. I love being wrong.
Yeah.
So that's basically my take on.
I got two more things I didn't like, and then we'll go back into positives. Another thing was the angles. Like so many times they would push into like a very much a close up, and then switch out to like a long shot. I would have just liked the long shot that goes down into it. I feel like I would like to see more of Superman's apartment, more of the environment, and it just kept doing close-ups, and I wasn't about that. It kind of turned me off.
Wow, dude, you're good.
It was just something I thought it kept bugging me every time I do it. It was like the other movies that were shot in IMAX like about 6 years ago. They would switch between the IMAX widescreen to full screen, back and forth in the middle of the movie. It would just bother me, and so like this is almost bothering me in the same way as I wanted to see. This is a Superman movie. I wanted to see the environment. I want to see everything in Clark Kent's apartment. I want to see him walking down. They did too many close-ups, and that's just kind of a James Gunn style. He likes that close-up and then the long shot. It's just
In Star Trek, they complained about lens flare. In this one, you're complaining, and that didn't hit me at all. I didn't realize that, but you did remind me of another negative. Okay, and this is going to happen in real life if we have metahumans in our own society. This is going to happen, and that is the destruction of cities. And it upset me so much in Man of Steel that I'm like, oh my God, thank God that's over with, and I won't ever have to see that again. Well, that happens in this movie as well, and I was a little bent out of shape over it. Number two, because I didn't tell you guys this, I'm also an architect, okay? So seeing all those buildings go down, I'm cringing because I know how long it took to build those suckers and how long they've been standing there, and in the blink of an eye, somebody wants to play dominoes with them, and that really pissed me off.
Did you see the post-credit scene about it, though? They made a joke about it.
Yes, I did. Now, that's the one that hit me the most because my clients have done things like that to me. They make me stand in front of a house that I've designed for them and say, hey, Mark, what's that crack? What's that crack in my wall? It's like, I'm not the freaking contractor, for God's sakes. I just designed the damn thing, But that after credit scene was hilarious. I about fell on the floor because I knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And Mr. Terrific applied the appropriate response.
Oh, that was classic, man. I love that post-credit scene. I about died.
I about died too. It was absolutely classic, stunning. So yeah, okay. So that's another negative was the filming technique that James Gunn used, which I have to check that out tomorrow.
My final negative, and like I said, this is very nitpicky, right? And this is gonna sound me like I'm an angry fanboy. I know. How they handled the parent situation. And I understand.
You're just making me you're reminding me so much of what I dislike. I totally forgot it just sitting here with you.
But see, I understand what they were going for. That the found family is more important than the family you were born with. I get it, yada yada yada. But what upset me was the whole movie. I'm going, well, man, they're gonna switch and be like, no, that's not really what they meant, right? And then the credits hit me, and I'm like, man, they're really gonna roll with this. They're really just throwing it out there like that. And like, I know there's a bunch of different interpretations of their parents, and if you like the original story, you can always go back to the original movie or Man of Steel and all that. I get it. It's just like it threw me for such a loop that I was just like, what? Like they're gonna change it back, right? Like
Remy. Let's talk about the Kents. Okay. All right. Number one, we have to remember this was not a natural birth. So nothing the parents had did Clark end up with.
Right.
Because it's like day and night, black and blue, is whatever you want to call it. And yet, even though Clark from a baby was raised to the age that he is in Superman, which I think they quoted at 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was in his 30s.
Something like that. It's like, where the hell's Clark's accent? You listen to the Clark, you listen to the Kents, and they talk like they're from West Virginia. And I'm like,
I like that, because that reminds me of my family down south. I got a family from Texas, and when I go visit them, like they sound like that. It made me feel home, and I was like, this probably might be the first time that the Kents sound like they like straight from the country,
Yeah, but parent-wise, parentally, you as a infant, as a child, is going to pick up your parents' speech and mannerism as you grow old. Right. It's non-existent in Clark, period. Nothing. But the Kents, and I mean, they're like Humpty Dumpty. They're the two unkent like parents of any Superman, even the animation that you've ever seen in your life. You've never seen Clark's parents look so normal.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I was waiting for his dad to pull out a banjo. I'm like, well, who the hell are these people? Yeah. So it's not a negative.
See, I'm more referring to what they did with the Kryptonian parents, about him having the harem and all that. That was my big negative. Like, I was literally waiting until the end. Like, man, they're gonna turn that back, right? That was all made up, right?
Okay, Remy, you keep twisting the knife in me, dude. You're making me remember other things I didn't like about this movie. I don't want to outpace the positives. The positives are supposed to be way higher than the negatives.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's like an 85% for me. It's up there. I love the movie. This is one of my favorite Superman. It's the second favorite movie of this year. Only the first one being Sinners. Yeah, I think it's Sinners that was number one, and then this.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
It's up there. It's one of my favorite movies this year. Yeah. It's
big fan of Sinners.
Very nitpicky stuff. I
get it, and you're right. So let's talk about Clark's birth parents. Kal-El. I can't say Clark, but Kal-El's birth parents. We went from West Virginia to K-pop parents, or what's the top pop star on right now? Blonde, Kansas City Chiefs dating one of them. What's wrong with me? Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor Swift. Yep.
Thank you. So we look at the mom. The mom, I think I'm looking at Taylor Swift as his mother. The guy, and even though they are speaking their native Kryptonian language, it sounds Spanish.
Right.
Okay, so I'm looking at the father. The father has a beard. It's kind of thin looking. I'm sorry, doesn't look like a physicist or a physicist or anything like that to me. I'm sitting here looking at, dude, they must have gave birth to you really young. I'm like, what's up with the? So that's a failure to me. The Kents are a failure to me, but acceptable because I thought they were hilarious. I mean, or at least the mom was. The mom was really hilarious. That was a failure to me, but they were acceptable. The Kents were. I'm sorry. Clark's Kal-El's parents
Kyle's
were.
family, yeah.
Yeah, Kal-El's was forgettable to me. They
Very
were
much.
forgettable. Yeah, I didn't need to hold them in my brain at all. I didn't think that there was any association whatsoever. I also failed to believe that Earth has translated, we Earthlings has translated all of the missing parts of that message, that full message that they had ready for Kal-El. I can't believe that end of it. I want to think, because of the movie, that it was a made-up scenario that Clark, like an idiot or Superman, whichever persona you want to go with, believed it. He believed that message, and it was translated from Lex Luthor's people.
Right.
You know, a freaking alien language, not a international.
But see, that's what I was hoping by the end of the movie, that they were just going to be like, oh no, and we found out Lex Luthor had messed with it.
Agreed.
And it never happened.
It never happened. It never happened. They focused on his nefarious acts and plans and all that kind of stuff. And I was hoping, just like in the classic Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man, that somebody's going to run around the corner with the book in their hand and go, hey, we were wrong. Right. It's a cookbook, or something like that.
I was waiting that whole time for that. It never happened, man.
Yeah, that was very upsetting to me. So yes, the flaws are there, okay? But like you, I'm going to stick with your 85%. I think you're right. I think it's 85% a perfect movie. If we didn't never said perfect, but I know where you were going with that. There is 15% of flaws in there, and is there more? I was about to say, you just mentioned, is there more?
No, to me, like anything else, I loved. It reminded me, like, why I love DC.
Yeah, well, DC doesn't have a good track record with their movies, with their live action movies. Incredible, untouchable talent with their animation department.
Right.
Okay. I think DC animation is off the hook. I think they're fantastic in that. They just kind of just don't get a tight enough package with their movies.
But I'll say this: I did really like Justice League. Justice League was one of my favorite movies.
Did you really?
I absolutely did. I was a huge supporter of Justice League, and I didn't like the rest of the Zack Snyder movies, but Justice League, I was into it.
Okay, so now I know you're a knucklehead too. Okay, so I did not dislike Justice League. I wanted better.
Oh, okay. I agree. I do. I think it could have been better, but I put it up there with the original Avengers movie. Whereas the Avengers movie is not a perfect movie. It has a lot of flaws. And I think if Justice League had come out first before the Avengers movies, people would feel the same way about it. There's been so many better Marvel movies since Avengers that it was hard to go back to the way Justice League was.
I am so happy I can continuously disagree with things that you say. And that just makes me so happy how I know that not everyone out there is agreeing with me, that there at least going to be one strong person in the room that's going to challenge the things that I like and vice versa. You're a knucklehead, Remy.
Well, see, I'm not one of those people who's a sheep. I have my own opinion. I feel like talking with a lot of comic book movie people about some of this stuff, and they say the same opinion. And I know, like off camera, they don't feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, you're right. So, let me ask you a question. Unless you're done with the
that's all I had for negative. So ask away.
Yeah. Okay. So did you expect a kaiju?
I mean, I saw the trailer, so I mean, kind of expected it, but I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't expect it in the way it happened. And he had like a little Stitch guy go in, and he went from Stitch to Power Rangers. Like, and like,
let me tell you though, that was, I think, better CGI as a super big Godzilla character than any other kaiju. Definitely wasn't a Ultraman kaiju that you saw. And in the trailers, I only remember seeing probably the head of this kaiju, which I thought was a flying dragon at first that was blowing flame. And that's all. I didn't know this was because if you were a fan of the 1966 Superman series, Superman in one episode of that series did actually fight a flying dragon, literally in the cartoon. And I thought that's where they were going with this. I had no idea that literally it was Stitch grown up.
Right. I loved it, man. I love seeing Superman fight that guy. It was just like, it just added another thing for him to fight. You know, it wasn't just him versus Luthor. He had a bunch of stuff he had to overcome throughout the movie. And you know, I've listened to some other reviews of this, and they said that was kind of a negative for them, that there was too much going on. But to me, it was a positive. You know, it added so much more depth to Superman. You know, seeing him go, instead of going right like Man of Steel did, let's go fight the giant monster. I'm going to save the people around here first before we get to the giant threat. I mean, that was just like, bam, blew my mind. It was great to see that on the big screen.
There was, you're absolutely, you hit it, you knocked it out of the park on that one, Remy. There was also a lot of humanity in this movie in his savings. Let's say one thing that I did notice, which I'm kind of happy for, but some people may be upset with, everybody has this impression that Superman is 100% indestructible. Now, minus kryptonite. If there was no kryptonite involved, everybody thought that nothing could hurt Superman. 100% indestructible. Let me tell you, in the 1930s and 40s with the Superman flagship cartoons, even then, Superman wasn't as strong as he has become at this time.
Absolutely.
Yes, he's
and I grew up on those cartoons.
Yes, he's huffing and puffing and struggling. In fact, in the trailers and this opening scene, Superman is got his ass kicked and he's knocked into the Arctic Circle and he's bleeding. It's like, oh my God, I thought we could only see Superman blood when somebody stabs him with a blade of kryptonite.
Right.
Now, you know, much like Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. I don't know if there's any disappointment with people out there seeing a Superman that wasn't indestructible. I'm not going to say super because he is super in what he does. The dude flies, for God's sakes. Come on. But it was interesting to see and then find out that Superman can in fact get his ass kicked by anybody else, because in Man of Steel it was Kryptonians kicking his ass. So you think that was toe to toe. And that's the only way they can basically hurt each other is if they were of the same caliber of power. Okay. In this one, it is the same thing. Spoiler alert, as if you didn't know at the beginning of the show, that he did in fact get his ass kicked by someone who was the same caliber of power of him.
With that being said, it was nice seeing a vulnerable Superman, you know?
Vulnerable in not just the physical, but the emotional as well.
Right.
There is so many, and here's where we're going to get in trouble, Remy, talking about this. I don't think there was really any way for James Gunn to know that any of this was going to come to par. Okay. Because if you would think that this movie was probably in the can for maybe a year and a half before current events hit the scene, there are current events that are in this movie that I couldn't believe. And I know, knock on wood here, sorry guys, I know it pissed the hell off of the MAGA crowd. Okay.
Yeah, you really think so?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I've already picked things up. Was that being facetious? What you just did?
No, I had no idea. I've only seen a couple
You know what
people.
they're calling it? You know what they're calling this movie? Super woke. That's
See,
the term that's
I had seen that, but I wasn't sure if that was because of the immigrant stuff
MAGA crap.
or because
Yeah.
of the. I know they were trying to say it was. They said on Fox News the other day that it was something about that it was like comparing to the Israel versus Palestine, Iran
That was
conflict.
part of it. That was
Yeah.
part of it. But the internment camp, for one thing,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
That version of the internment camp, you're looking at, basically an alligator. I live in out in the Orlando, Florida area, guys. But you're literally in this movie scene basically like an alligator Alcatraz. If not the glass box cages, okay, with all these individuals who were apprehended and put into these cages and held. But if not that, then literally his base of operations, wherever the hell they are, where everybody's wearing Hawaiian shirts, I don't know if they're in the desert or on the beach, but there was a lot of, at least compiled references of that the current administration's duties in this movie. And I don't like talking politics. I'm just saying what I think a lot of people have seen, what I have seen, and I actually gasped a little bit when I saw it. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I think I caught before I went to the movies because I try to stay away from all spoilers, all trailers, any information whatsoever about a movie before I have seen the movie. But I caught wind of literally these some MAGA people, okay, were getting upset and expressed their views already on what they thought was going on in this movie. Thus the term super woke.
Yeah, see, I saw the term, but I didn't see anybody like calling the movie that,
Yeah, I did. I'll have to send you some copies, but I did. But anyway, moving along, what else you got for me, Remy?
Well, we're gonna move to positives. Like, what are some of our favorite stuff about this? And I know we could probably talk about this for days. This was, like I said, it's my second favorite movie of the year, and that's like not saying that it's bad. It's really, really good. I mean, Sinners just brought the bar up so high that it's going to be really hard to knock it down to from number one to number two. But Superman's it's up there. It's the second best movie I've seen this year, and I go to the movies every weekend.
Yeah, well, we still got another one coming at the end of this month, and I'm assuming Superman will stay at this number. And I don't really think that some people have pretty much gotten how we feel about the movie. Okay, and I gotta get close to my TV to read that. I love seeing him run down from a foreign director. He's not on the. That's right. That's right. Oh, go retro. When another alien story. Yeah, yeah. Go retro. Good job, man. I agree. Getting back to the omnipotent portion of Superman. You go with your positives first, and I'll follow behind you there, Remy. Oh, are you on mute?
I know you didn't like the way the Green Lantern was portrayed, but I really liked Green Lantern in this movie. The whole middle finger kind of thing. I was like, I like that. I think he really pulled off him being an asshole kind of thing. And he was one of the things I was not looking forward to going into the movie. But with that being said, I think he pulled off Guy Gardner pretty well. I was excited that Guy Gardner didn't die in the end, like a lot of people predicted.
No, I didn't hear that at all. That's interesting.
Yeah, a lot of the big movie pundits were doing videos and saying, "Oh, if anybody's gonna die, it's gonna be Guy Gardner." Nobody cares about Guy Gardner. And I was like, "Oh, okay." So that's what in my head I was going into it thinking, "Oh, he's gonna die from one of the bad guys or be a casualty," but that didn't happen. I was happy. I think this is one of the best Lex Luthors in all of media. I think Nicholas Hoult played it really well. I know I saw some criticism people were giving saying that he was too much of a whiny baby, But to me, Lex Luthor is kind of a whiny person. You know, he's a businessman, but
Yes.
and he stands on business. But at the end of the day, Superman is that one thing that will always get to him. He will always be the little needle in the side, the thorn in his side.
Yeah, I think you're right. The people are wrong, okay? Because and I tell you how majorly they wrong are, because Lex Luthor himself admitted to his envy of Superman. You're not going to be anything less of a whiny baby after admitting how envious you are of someone that he's always been envious of. And if you're a fan of the classics, the originals, back when Lex Luthor came about and how he lost his hair, we're talking years and years and years and years of resentment. And for him to get into the position that he's in now, with his focus only being on one thing, maybe two, because he wanted to be rich as well as killing off Superman, that was the best Lex Luthor that I've actually ever seen in any iteration of Superman. So,
and one of the best quotes from the movie was Superman asking, like, man, what was the point of you doing all this? And he said, no, it wasn't the point of me giving away the stuff for free. It was to use the military contracts to kill you. It was
kill you.
It had nothing to personal to me. It was to kill you. And I was like, oh, perfect. Wow.
Yes, it was gold. It was golden. He was on a mission. He was focused. He wasn't worried about being rich. He wasn't even worried about being important. He just wanted to kill Superman, and he went about the best way of getting those capabilities of killing Superman. He had to build a corporation so he can get the people, so he can get the weapons to kill Superman. It had nothing to do with anything else but that. Well casted, well executed. The best Lex Luthor I've actually ever seen in my entire life. But I want to get back to Guy Gardner here for a minute. I want to jump. Let me get back. Okay, so when I told you that was miscasted, because there was 3 miscast roles on this, I think actually 4 if you want to add the Kents. No, but I kind of like them though. They're kind of my comical nature thing there. My only complaint about Guy Gardner when I said miscasting was the age. I think Guy Gardner should have been at least 10 years younger. Okay, in this, Nathan Fillion is a great guy. I think when James Gunn may have asked Nathan Fillion, okay, I'll bring you in my movie. What character do you want to play? He wasn't going to get Lex Luthor. He wasn't going to get Mr. Terrific. He wasn't going to get Hawk Girl. I don't know if Guy Gardner was placed in this script for the sake of Nathan Fillion wanting to play Guy Gardner. I mean, it could have been another. Okay, get ready for this. It could have been another Justice Gang member that they could have pulled out of their pocket or something like that.
Missed opportunity to call them the Super Friends. Missed opportunity to call them Super Friends.
Dude, as soon as I saw the Hall of Justice, I think my pants got wet. Okay, and I'm like, holy shit. They actually brought it in, but when they brought up the name, I was hoping at least by the end of the movie that Metamorpho, of course, who was recruited.
Yeah.
Okay, when Guy Gardner, said, "Oh, Justice Gang," I really like that name. I was hoping that Superman would probably be the one that would come out of the shadows and goes, "What's wrong with Justice League?" And I was expecting something like that, but that's okay. We're going to get another Superman movie, I'm thinking, because of all of this. But that's my only problem with Guy Gardner, is I think he really needs to be probably 10 years younger. Okay, in all honesty, a younger Guy Gardner. That's the only I'm looking at an old Guy Gardner. I know he's a member of the Green Lantern Corps, but my God, what age was he recruited? I mean, would you really want to see a Hal Jordan in that? Already seeing a Guy Gardner that looks like, he's been around the block a couple times? There's going to be a serious age difference going on in this, That's
I agree. Yeah.
That's my only beef.
We have a comment. With
Oh, what's
Kyle
this
Chandler
say?
playing a 50-year-old Hal Jordan in the upcoming Lanterns, it may make sense that Gardner needed to be older. Aaron Pierce, John Stewart was always younger than Hal and Guy.
Interesting. I like that comment, but Guy Gardner looked like he was at least 50 plus during this one, so we still have a problem. Kyle was the younger of all the Lanterns,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, wait a minute, if he's going to be 50, and I'm looking at a guy Gardner who looks like he could be 50 or more. Something is still wrong here. I don't think you can bring a Hal Jordan into this now, because it just won't look right. So either way, was my number one miscasting. I think I mentioned was Guy Gardner.
Well, two fun facts. Ryan Reynolds
Okay.
was asked to come back as Hal Jordan. Okay, and he had said no. The second fact is that they weren't originally going to do the bowl cut, and that was Nathan Fillion's idea to bring the bowl cut there.
What do you mean not do the bowl cut? Then who the hell would he have been if there was not a bowl cut on any Green Lantern in the entire freaking Green Lantern Corps? Everybody, that's his focus. Everybody knows him from five light years away coming. Here comes Guy. It's like you gotta have that bowl cut.
I'm excited to see more of Guy Gardner when Batman is introduced into the movie series, because their interaction with the comics were always hilarious. Because Batman can really get under his skin a little bit.
He's an asshole, and not saying that Nathan Fillion didn't bring out the assholery. Is that a word? The assholery out of his performance, but for some reason I still see an old man, basically trying to dictate terms among the Justice Gang, and he's not even supposed to be a leader. I guess in a sense he could be a leader, but an asshole leader. But still, Mr. Terrific was probably more capable of running that entire group, my opinion.
Oh, I definitely took it as Mr. Terrific was the real leader, and Guy Gardner was just kind of the hype man,
Yeah. The muscle. I think Guy Gardner was probably the muscle in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But another positive is, as well as I think this is one of the best Lex Luthors, I think this is the definitive Lois Lane for any of the Superman movies. I had
this discussion with someone today, and I compared this Lois Lane to the Margot Kidder Lois Lane in terms of her tenacity, in terms of her get up and go, her smart alecky kind of nature. Margot Kidder was corny, and I think you're probably right in terms of the best Lois Lane that's come out of this. Definitely the more romantic Lois Lane. My God, that girl's horny. I mean, hands off the man, for God, he's got to go fight that freaking flying thing outside his window, and all you want to do is neck. I mean, what kind of woman? Oh yeah, you're a woman. Never mind. So anyway, I really enjoyed this Lois Lane as well. Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of interpretations of Lois Lane, they make her a real bitch, right? And I excuse my term, but I think they make her a real bitch. This one, she's kind of aggressive, but she's got that loving side to her. And this kind of explains, like, there's not a lot of guys after her, and this guy really treats me nice, and she's kind of scared off by it a little bit. They made her a little bit more human here. They kind of explain why she's a little aggressive and a little standoffish here, and I kind of like that. I like.
Go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry, dude.
I was just waiting for her to yell to Jimmy Olsen, "Hey, go get the camera. Let's go." I was just waiting for that. I'm sure they'll put that in the next movie, but
that was perfect casting. I think that is the most incredible balance of, I'm going to say Superman and Lois, not Clark and Lois, even though Clark will act like Superman, which is his true persona, in front of Lois than he would as Clark Kent. She literally was the country lawyer in this. And being a reporter, she'd have to be schooled in a lot of stuff, especially politics.
Mhm.
And she was absolutely right. And we didn't touch on the political aspects of this movie, but Lois was the one that brought it to the table. And she was absolutely right in everything that she said. If I was a demigod, I would be cleaning up this country, probably the entire world, like it was no tomorrow. But
Absolutely.
do I have the right to do that? I may have the power to do that. Do I have the right and the permission? I am an illegal alien, and I am in a country that has laws and rules and has not recognized me as a citizen. So I cannot perform as if I was a citizen of not just the country, but of the damn world. And that's what Lois was trying to relay to Clark / Superman, who was really, really upset that just like Lex Luthor, who had a common purpose, one focus, so did Superman. And that was to save people. If people were dying, I want to save people, yada, yada, yada. It was perfectly executed by both of them, showing Superman's emotional side of it. Don't tell me to stop saving people. He never said that. I'm just saying that's his attitude. Don't tell me to stop saving people. Whereas Lois is quoting the law saying, did you ask to do that first? She's right.
And that's what kind of makes me relate it to like the Spider-Man movies, because that's something Spider-Man is always fighting. You know, do I save everybody, or do I, you know, with the great power comes great responsibility thing? You know, that's like the whole point of those Sam Raimi movies.
Also known as vigilante. Oh, say that fast 3 times. Vigilantism. Oh God, I said it that time. You know, and that's lawless. That's lawless law. That's illegal. And sure, that's a great point that I'm sure has been debated by better people than me, that these metahumans are performing police acts without the permission of the people who run the countries and the cities and the towns and the world to say, yes, please help us clean up our world. No one told them to do that.
Right.
You know, so they can always be challenged. And in fact, was it Winter Soldier, or was it, no, it was Civil War. Civil War, Marvel, Captain America Civil War, brought up that fact in the Marvel movies. Literally, we have lawless people out there doing things. Okay, well, we're going to sign you to a contract and you have to follow our rules. And half of the Avengers crowd said, hey, kiss my ass.
Right.
You know? So, yeah, so Lois pretty much portrayed that. I'm glad James wrote that portion of that discussion into the script.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a very important and a highlight of the movie is them having that discussion, because it really makes you think, you know, if I'm put in this situation, do you help everybody, or would this cause chaos, you know?
Yeah. Well, Lois is his barometer. His I mean, he's already got a conscience, but in terms of legality, and nobody wants to be told what to do and what not to do.
Right.
Sorry, but the only way you can stay in this country is by following the laws, the rules that are put in place. You may not like them. I don't like them all either, but there are consequences for you not following them. And the government, as you saw in Superman, felt that if we can't control these people, okay, it's going to be mass chaos, yada, yada, yada. And of course, somebody, much like Batman, Batman had contingencies to defeat Superman if ever he was controlled by a rogue group or anything like that, or if Superman on his own decided he wanted to do what his family supposedly has sent him to Earth to do.
And you know, what's funny is that's kind of what Batman versus Superman touched on as well. I think that was one of the highlights from Batman versus Superman. Was they kind of touched on that subject.
Yeah, that's why he had kryptonite. You know, you can't dispense of kryptonite. I mean, it's funny to say this, but what idiot would try to take, or what idiot would try to keep weapons that will kill Superman? He's our savior. But come on, common sense has got to play into this. And it's like, you have no idea what's going to happen to Superman. Suppose Lois is kidnapped. Suppose Lois is threatened with death. Suppose there's no other way to save Lois but to do what her captors want you to do. You say, well, I can't save her, but they want me to do this or they're going to kill her. So you got to have kryptonite around. If Superman was given the order to destroy LA completely, every living thing, I want you to destroy LA or you'll never see Lois again. What would Superman do? Okay, if he went on a mission to destroy LA and there's no way to stop Superman, well, what idiot said to get rid of all the kryptonite on this planet before thinking it through first?
Right.
So Lois was the level-headed common sense guy. She understands that she could be held for ransom, if this Superman, was her beau, either way, which he is. Can we talk about the actor a little bit of Superman?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have much because I don't even know who the hell he is. But the dude's big. Now, either Lois is really, really small, but he's big, he's buffed out. And I'm like, he's not a Henry Cavill physique, but he's a little bit more better cut than Christopher Reeves. So he's between a Christopher Reeves and a Henry Cavill in terms of the way his physique is. And I thought he looked well. He looked fine on that. I'm constantly seeing different costumes on Superman for every freaking movie. He's got his underwear on the outside of his tights. He's got belt loops in the freaking underwear. I'm like, what planet stresses their people like this, So that's all I have to say about him. He's
I like
really,
I like that he towered over Lex Luthor. It almost gave him like an intimidating presence, Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah. So, what else you wanna talk about? There's a lot to talk about.
I really wanted to highlight Mr. Terrific because so many black heroes get put to the wayside. I don't like how they did Falcon a little dirty in there. They gave him like the worst movie out of all one of the worst. I wouldn't say it's the worst MCU movie, but it's up there. It's not. They could have done better for his first outing as a movie. So I like how they treated one of the black heroes from DC Comics. I would have preferred to have Static Shock in this universe, but we're gonna wait a long time for that one.
Yeah,
they couldn't even get the rights to put him in Black Lightning.
Yeah, so, that's insane. That's stupid.
And they made him one of the most outstanding characters in the movie. I mean, he was a real highlight. If you don't walk away going, I want a Mr. Terrific action figure, or even that jacket. I want to get that jacket now. Where can I buy that jacket, Warner Brothers? Give me the Mr. Terrific jacket. That shit will sell out.
You know what I saw? I saw a genius named Shaft. Okay, in Mr. Terrific, because you could tell he was all us. Okay, he was definitely gangster in this, not over the top gangster, but definitely gangster enough to say, I'm the smartest man in the room. You can't top what I'm gonna do. He was pushing Lex Luthor's people out of the way. He
wasn't even giving them the time of day. He was just like, no, I got this. Yeah. Like, you ain't nothing.
Exactly. It's like, go outside, go to lunch, whatever. He didn't even have to say that. It was just the way he presented himself, the way he walked into the room, the gadgets that he owned that Crypto happened to like a lot. I think that is that could be a standout movie alone. He's in the universe where we know the metahumans. In fact, I was in the third row of an IMAX theater. You ever been in the third row of an IMAX theater before? Mm-hmm. I had to sew my neck back together when I got home. So the first scene in a movie is the words coming across the screen, basically. And it basically described when metahumans came to be.
Right.
Okay. Which, no one has done that before, not even Marvel. All these metahumans were Nick Cage discovered. I mean, Nick Cage, listen to me.
Iron
Nick
Man.
Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Fury, Iron Man, they were those kind of discoveries. They weren't mutants like in the X-Men where there were so many of these kind of superpower kind of creatures or whatever. It literally described when metahumans came to be, which really made the government like freaking super nervous that we're about to be overtook, which I'm assuming that may happen unless the trust remain with these superheroes, these metahumans, which during the movie had basically left. So I thought with Mr. Terrific being around and no one really knowing the background story of Mr. Terrific, who's this guy? I mean, what's he doing? I mean, what's he about? How is, there's enough room to kind of bring him to the forefront as well. So, yeah.
I would love to see a Mr. Terrific movie. I don't know who his villains are in the comics, but I would just like to see him, even if it's a him and Batman movie or like him and somebody else. I would love to just see a Mr. Terrific movie. He's like a highlight standout of this film,
Yeah, I'm telling you, I see Shaft. I don't hear the MFer word. MFers coming all over the place out of Mr. Terrific mouth. But I literally see if he had a standalone movie or whatever, that he would be so badass, asses. I'm making up these words as I go. I think if he did his own movie, that whoever the criminals will be, they would have to be literally the same caliber of Lex Luthor. You wouldn't bring anyone down lower than Lex Luthor's capability. My God, he built this freaking machine that can rip through time and open up portals and all this kind of freaking stuff. And Mr. Terrific just kind of knew exactly what to do. It's like, well, okay, well, there you go. Probably the most brilliant man, the smartest man in the freaking world. And Mr. Terrific, without using brawn, finished Lex Luthor and his crew off.
Right.
So it'd have to be somebody high level, I'm assuming, probably another alien.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like there's like an evil version of Metamorpho that's his villain, and like Alex Luthor and Artemis, like a lot of like Justice Society kind of people. Bizarro.
Metamorpho was a villain?
No, there's an evil version of Metamorpho.
Oh, gotcha. Evil version of Metamorpho. Interesting. Yeah. Can we talk about crypto quick? Can we talk about crypto?
Let's talk about crypto. I like crypto. I feel like his CGI was off a couple times, but.
Well, yeah. Well, you know that all the things that crypto did in that movie couldn't be anything but CGI.
Right.
You can't train a dog to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm a big dog fan. I love dogs. I love pets. I love the whole 9 yards. When the trailers came out showing crypto, I was a little upset because the first trailer was, of course, Superman in the snow. He's injured and he whistles. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what the hell is he whistling for? And then I heard all this rumbling in the freaking background in the distance, headed right for him. And before the dog even got to him, I go, no effing way, because here we are into my comic book life, my animated cartoon life is like crypto to super dog. The only disappointment before I mentioned already was the hair. He's too hairy. He's supposed to be a short-haired, sort of like a terrier kind of breed. I don't know exactly what kind of breed that is, but wasn't disappointed. I think his actions were exactly the way a dog would be. No one said that crypto was super smart, although you saw his smartness in the comics, but you couldn't assume that the dog was going to be super smart. Yes, he's alien, but he was a pet as well on another freaking planet. Go fetch, go pee, and all it. Dog commands, dog orders, and I was happy to see the way Superman handled crypto, and crypto responded to Superman in this movie. I'm like, yes, that's perfect. Even him snipping you when your dogs and when your pet sometimes bites, they don't know if they're hurting you unless you yell out in pain and say, don't do that anymore. Crypto was biting up a storm. All I could hear was crunching sound. I was just cracking up. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, he snips just like, my dog used to do. And you'd have to go, oh, that hurt, things like that. So I love Crypto.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed by him a little bit that he wasn't listening, but I think they kind of explained it a little bit with him being from another owner. I was wondering if they were going to explain that he was in a separate pod or not, but I don't know.
Well,
I enjoyed him for the most part. I think I'm going to enjoy him more. He's supposed to be getting a television spinoff or one of the streaming services. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that would be cool.
I think they want to make him the Baby Yoda of the universe or whatever, but
yeah, but you know what? If you get a voice actor for Crypto, it better be perfect, or I'm going to be really angry. Because you do an entire show for a pet, a dog, and not have enough speaking parts. You'd have to have some sort of main character, like a 9-year-old child, and of course there are no superhero 9-year-old childs, during that time period. So it seemed to me that either if they do a show like that, you might have to voice act them. You might have to give somebody to dub his thoughts and ideas, not have his lips move, but basically thinking all the time, and you hear his thoughts.
Supposedly it's supposed to come out this fall. I don't know how accurate that is.
Wow, really? That's soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know they had the animated series and the animated movie recently.
Which I liked. I like the animated series, the recent animated series of him by himself, and supposedly, if you, like I say, you're a big comics fan, especially back in the 60s, with Legion of Superheroes and all that kind of stuff floating around, they went crazy. The allegiance of super pets was ridiculous. There was a horse, I think, there was a cat, and I'm like, where the hell did all these alien pets come from?
Right.
So, yeah, that should be interesting.
Let's see. Anything else that you wanted to highlight about the movie?
Well, we already talked about the city destruction for one. We already talked about the kaiju that's in that. We already talked about all of Superman's sidekicks. I'm calling them sidekicks, even though they're standalones. They're still sidekicks because they were secondary to the title, let's say. Talked about Lex Luthor, which was awesome. Jimmy Olsen was a nice change. He wasn't dweebish. He wasn't a nerd. He didn't even have a camera. You ever see a camera on this kid in this movie?
No, not once.
Not once. Yeah, not once. And it was kind of a sidekick, kind of secret agent, or not secret agent, but investigative reporter who had his own, sources and contacts and things of that nature. He could handle himself, which was really interesting. I didn't know. I couldn't figure out why he didn't really want that girl, other than she was a nagging, kind of bimbo.
I think it was the clinginess. I think it was the clinginess.
Yeah, you're right. That's icky. Yeah, that's icky with the clean. I mean, she was dumb as a box of rocks, but she was really clingy. I'm really curious of how he's going to get rid of her now. She is a co-conspirator if you think about it. Yeah. They should be turning her ass in, especially with Jimmy knowing where she came from. She should be in league with Luthor. She should be going to jail too.
Right. Absolutely.
But
I like Jimmy Olsen. I think it was a fresh change. I would have liked to see more of his relationship with Clark. I don't think they showed enough of him being Superman's pal or him hanging around with Clark. Clark, I feel like a lot of the Clark stuff got moved aside for more Superman stuff, which is okay. It's the first movie. But I think for the sequel, I would like to see more Clark Kent being Clark Kent, him interacting with his core character sidekicks,
Yeah. I think after the box office numbers at the end of this weekend, without a doubt, they're going to force James to go into production for a second one.
Absolutely.
You know, it would be idiotic if they didn't do that. It'd be idiotic if they sat on it and you know, we get bored. You know, it's taking too long for the next movie to come out, so they got to run into something coming up pretty quick. But other than that, I thought it was, and nothing else I can think of, Remy. But I thought
I got two things.
Oh, go for it. Yes, sir.
So the two things I wanted to bring up before we do final scenes and ratings.
Oh, perfect.
Is one, did you? I don't know if you got this vibe too, but what are they going to do with that extra dimension? To me, I thought it would have been a real good way to introduce the Phantom Zone, and like that's the first thing that went to my mind when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, is he going to get like a Phantom Zone portal?
Well, you with to answer your question, you're right. They could, I'm assuming, get around to that Phantom Zone. I'm really upset that it was Lex Luthor who discovered this, although we know he's a supposed genius and in that respect. But I would think that the Justice Gang, under the leadership of Mr. Terrific, would take control of policing all of these devices that were able to take them where they went during that time. I didn't get any hints of any black ops teams or anything like that from the government who could take possession of this and put it under lock and key. It seemed to me that, the Justice Gang are the only people capable enough to probably control this. I don't know.
I felt like it was a missed opportunity to not call it the Phantom Zone, or Mr. Trivet to be like, you know what, I got enough information, I can make a smaller portal just off the information we got here. And maybe they'll do that for a sequel, but somebody on the team had to have had thought about that.
I agree. I don't think I want to see a sequel of Kryptonians challenging Superman. We've seen it in Man of Steel already. Okay, we've seen it in the original Superman, that Phantom Zone, and you had Kryptonians in there or whatever. I'm not sure if that is of use unless you needed a lot of battle scenes. Okay, who's Superman going to fight next? I mean, the only people that could probably beat them are Kryptonians. Let's get some Kryptonians in there. And it's like, been there, done that. I don't know. You're right. I don't disagree with you in terms of that was a missed opportunity to the Phantom Zone. But who's to say the Phantom Zone is on that same parallel as that portal that Lex Luthor found? Look at Ant-Man and the Wasp and the small universe that they found during that time. Who say the Phantom Zone is not a reduced area of, I don't know. It's something that I'm sure people around a writer's table are discussing as we speak, if not already.
Well, I know that you could use it for like bigger villains later on. So instead of killing the villains, we're gonna send them to the Phantom Zone, or it would just be like, it would be a good way to have all that stuff there, and maybe eventually use it for something like Legion of Doom, where Lex Luthor breaks them all out of the Phantom Zone. Something, I don't know. I'm a writer, so all these ideas were going through my head as I was watching the movie.
Really, I'm brain farting right now. Oh, I just answered my own question. I think if they introduce Starro into this, that would bring the Justice Gang into play. If they were all possessed and Superman was the only one who was not, it could go that route. You got a just big, huge freaking starfish. Oh, by the way, the cameo of Peacemaker.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Oh my God. I died when the camera flipped to him. And I'm like, what the hell? Oh, of course, it's DC, Suicide Squad, the whole 9 yards. So, yeah, that was interesting. So, I don't know. What's the other thing you said you had?
The other thing was, do you think that Ultraman is going to turn into Bizarro?
Well, number one, I didn't like the name. Okay. I didn't like the name. we know that Ultraman is well, this is a spoiler show, folks, so don't get pissed off at us at all. We warned you. I think the premise of making a clone of, I mean, it was obvious for Lex Luthor to do that, but to keep that clone around, I think one and done should be the nature, since that clone did fall into the portal. Who's to know what happened to that clone, because he obviously wasn't dead. But to bring him back gives me the shivers of Nuclear Man and what was that, Superman 4 maybe?
Yeah, Superman
like
4.
Yeah, I'm like, don't do that. Don't. We've been there, done that. I want people to be creative. That's why I'm pissed off with Hollywood as it is, because they keep rehashing stuff because they're not creative enough to think of something brand new. So if I can sit here and start thinking about things that's going to relate to something that I've seen before, that means you're lousy, not you personally, Remy.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not going to watch this. I've seen it. You brought Richard Pryor into a Superman movie. The only thing that's left in your mind is what's been left hanging in this current Superman movie, which is the clone. I was a little shocked at the killing of the kaiju in this Superman movie, but then again, there's also profanity, some definite, violence and some deaths. Even Mr. Terrific killed people,
right.
In this movie. So that's reality based. That's the way it should be, but how do you top this? I'm not somebody who can come up with a quick solution.
I got one. Brainiac. Bring Brainiac in there.
Bravo. Yes, you're right. I forgot. Stupid me. Brainiac. Yeah, of course. There you go. There's your antagonist right there. Is Brainiac. How stupid of me. Of course, you can go into a rogues gallery of Superman, but we're talking about the top, though, really,
and he's never been done in a movie yet. He hasn't been done in a live action movie.
Animation, it has been, of course. Justice League International, and things like that. But yeah, Brainiac that's a good call. That's a good call on that.
But I don't know. I think they were leading towards that Ultraman was going to be Bizarro, and I think they were originally going to call him Bizarro, except from what it seems like they didn't want to use the name, just like they wouldn't use Super Friends and they were Justice Gang. They probably thought it was too silly. But Lex Luthor brings up the fact that that Ultraman is a lesser clone and is not as smart as Superman, which made me think Bizarro.
Yeah, well, I'm offended by the name. Come on, I'm from old school anime, okay, and I came home every afternoon after school, and Ultraman was on. Okay, right. If you've never seen Ultraman back in those days, then you'll that's too bad. But you'll understand why I'm offended by the name, because Ultraman only goes to one character to me in my mind, and they use that name, and it's like,
I didn't like them using the name either. I thought it was very stupid. I think if you're gonna do Bizarro, do Bizarro. If you're gonna do alternate Superman, you could use Nuclear Man. You have the rights to Nuclear Man. Go use that name.
Yeah. If you do Bizarro, okay, you set the groundwork for Bizarro. You didn't allow that clone to speak. You did saw pure rage in him and all this kind of stuff. So in the movies, in the comics, we know he's kind of stupefied. And if you're gonna dumb him down, then I can see you going that rate. But then again, are we back to the same kind of confrontation that we've already seen in the first Superman movie? What is the advantage of having Bizarro?
I think if they ever do Legion of Doom or something, it's a way to bring Lex back to the equation without having Lex Luthor get the super suit just yet.
Yeah, well, and it'd be great because I can see Cheetah, I can see Manta coming around, I can see, of course, Solomon Grundy. I can see, those kind of people where it would be a group confrontation rather than a singular confrontation.
Right, and they've already shown Lex Luthor going and imprisoning people and metahumans at that. Why wouldn't he be forming his own little team in the background? You never know what could be happening.
You know what I wanted out of Lex Luthor when he got arrested? I wanted more defiance out of him. He was it's like, dude, I felt sorry for him. I literally was feeling sorry for Lex Luthor as he was being taken away because he was so solemn. He was so embarrassed, humiliated. You name any adjective you want in this. And I'm like, holy crap, what? Come on, Lex, call us names, put your fist up and give us the finger or, whatever, be defiant.
Do the curse you, Superman.
This is not the last you've seen of me, stuff like that, come on. And it wasn't there. That was
I was waiting for a smirk. Like, you think you got me, but like, I'm going to be out,
Yeah, something like that. Smiling at the camera, turning right to breaking the fourth wall, smiling to the camera, and he's saying, mouthing probably, this is not the last of me, something like that. You know, like, oh, okay, this is not the end of Lex. We're gonna see him again, So, yeah.
All right, let's get to favorite scenes of the movie. I'll tell you my favorite scene, and then we'll let you go.
Please,
I'll give you some time to think about it. My favorite scene is when Superman realizes Krypto is gone, and he just barges right into the lair there of Lex Luthor, and it's just Lex Luthor's just crawling away. I really like that one, and it really shows how powerful Superman is, but how lenient he was too. But you mess with his people, he's gonna get angry. He's gonna get, tough. Another scene I liked that's really close to being my favorite is at the end where he's telling Lex Luthor about the speech of him being really human. I had a high school principal sitting right next to me, and she said, next time I see this movie is on Thursday, I'm going to write down that quote, and that's going to be the quote of the year for all my students this year.
Like, that's fantastic. Yeah.
It was a powerful message. And I was like, man, that's Superman. That was the law. After I was like, that is Superman. That is what all these movies had missed. That's what Man of Steel missed. That's what Superman Return missed. It's that truth, justice, an American way. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I was eating it up.
Yeah. My favorite, I think my favorite was the Clark. And actually, it would have been the Superman. He was in whatever persona he was at that time. The discussion with Lois Lane and Lois Lane confronting him with his permissions to do what he does. That for me was a what if moment. Whereas we all see superheroes as basically going out saving, not just saving cats from trees, but like I said, like I said before, it's flying to other countries and literally doing things on their own. It brings a lot of validity to you having superpowers. Takes me back to Spider-Man, with great power must come great responsibility. Lois professing to Clark, do you think you had the right to do what you did? And Clark / Superman being very, very adamant about why he did what he did, which is very admirable. And in a sense, it was challenged by Lois. And there are bigger people out there than Lois who could challenge you in a completely different, if not more valid way than what Lois did. But Lois did it in such the minute yet accurate way that I'm a little surprised that Clark didn't think about that growing up. Anytime he saved somebody's life, anytime he did something super, why didn't he think that, oh, am I going to get in trouble for this? As an adolescent child would think, it's like, oh my God, I didn't mean to break down this door on this building, but the house was on fire, things like that.
Yeah.
I like that part very, very much. That I never actually saw that in a movie. I saw it in, of course, Civil War, like we talked about before. But these were, two superheroes, or one side of superhero, one group of superhero on one side, one group of superhero on the other side, basically challenging what they should and should not do because of fear from the government, Here, it's just a regular citizen saying to Superman, "Hey, look, we love what you do. If it wasn't for you, blah 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 blah." I was waiting for Lois to say, "Well, just let them die." I was waiting for that to come out of her mouth in her battle with Clark on why he did what he did. He says, "Clark, it's the law, but I don't want to see people die, or I want to save people, whatever. Well, just let them die." That's one of my favorite portions on that. I think my other favorite part of this movie, there were touching scenes with the Kents when they're sitting on the porch. The father, Pa Kent, and whatever, Mama Kent comes outside and basically says, "Oh, mushy." First thing she says is "mushy mush," because she came out just when Clark and his dad were hugging each other, and Paul Kent was basically crying, and that touched me a lot because that's what a father wants to see in a child, for them, number one, to succeed in life, and number two, not to get hurt. And Paul Kent was basically relaying that to his own son, and Clark pretty much, hugged him because he was proud of his father. And I thought that kind of choked me up a little bit when I saw it. It's like, oh my God, my father didn't live long enough to see what I've become today, but I'm sure if we had a conversation, it probably would have been exactly like that. So those are my two. And they're both the emotional sides of this movie. Anybody can see the eye candy and alien. That freaking alien that was outside his apartment window, and Justin's gang was fighting them, and Clark was still sitting there having a conversation with Lois, and they were fighting this big glob of gelatinous, whatever it was.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, they got it."
Had me dying because all I saw was Guy Gardner's lightsaber hitting the top of this damn thing. You don't see Guy at all. You just see the long green lightsaber just bashing this damn thing. And I'm dying in the audience right now because I'm looking at the background. I'm looking beyond, Clark and everything that was in the foreground. So yeah, so those were the two, maybe three. I don't know.
All right, so we're gonna get to the part that's our rating for the movie and kind of final thoughts. I told people that I've talked to about the movie, it's about 85% for me of a perfect movie. I think it's got a lot of things going for it. I think it's a great start to the new DCU. I think the acting is just phenomenal. I love, a lot of people are saying how cheesy it is. I love the cheesiness.
I disagree with that. I don't see the cheesiness. I mean, nobody said, "Hold on, let me pull out this ray gun," or they did. I can't respond to that. I didn't hear anything cheesy in this movie. But go ahead. But I'm sorry.
I mean, I can see a little bit because it's that comic book cheese. It feels like it could be for all ages, and people see stuff that's family appropriate. They automatically go the bright colors, the comedy mixed with the action. They all think it's cheesy. If it's not like all dark and brooding, it automatically gets put into a cheesy category. And I get it. But for me, it worked. It worked just like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie. It felt like I was watching my comic life. And it's been a while since I've seen something like that. Probably since Endgame that I've seen something like that on the big screen. And this is just amazing. I chef's kiss. I can't say any more good about it. Like, I'll probably see this 9 times in theaters. I'll probably see it at least 3 times this week alone. Probably before Sunday, I'll see it 3 times. Because I'm going to be bragging about to everybody. Hey, you got to go see Superman. Hey, I'll take you to go see Superman. Let's go see it. So my final score for the movie is going to be, I'm going to do it out of 5. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Can you do me a favor? So I relate to this, Remy. Can you do it out of 10? Can you tell me what number? Because that's how I score. I score to 10, so that I can know exactly.
If it was out of 10, it would probably be like, I want to give it like a 9.7, 9.8. It's not a perfect 10, but it's really close. It's really, really close for me. It's like 9.7, 9.8. Somewhere in the middle. Whereas I wouldn't even give Sinners a 10 It's Sinners is like a 9.9, and this is like just below it. So
That's it.
again,
Yeah.
can't say anything more good about the movie. If you have not seen the movie, go check it out. Go see it for yourself. It is just,
Yeah.
man, especially if you're a comic book fan, man, whether you're a Marvel, DC, just being a comic book fan, it is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's something I never thought I would see in my lifetime on the big
Yeah.
screen. Go see
Yeah.
it. All right, Mark,
Okay.
your turn.
My turn. Okay, so one of the reasons why I've been moderating panels with uh, some really big, huge celebrities out there that you guys know and love. Number one, I have friends exactly like you, Remy, and there are people out there exactly like me. And to finish that story, I was going to say the reason why I'm asked to moderate panels and handle audiences and things like that is because I'm not a fanboy. Now, that in itself, because it was said to me personally, is incorrect. Yes, I am a fanboy. I just don't act like one. Okay. And I am the barometer. I'm on the center, the middle of the fence of everything. I know what the general audiences are going to love and not love, and I know what the nerds are going to love and not love. I am not part of, let's say, the Star Wars community out there that wants to argue everything Star Wars related. Why can't you just like Star Wars without nitpicking and saying, ah, wrong, and why did you do that? You didn't write it. It's not your story. I love this movie, not at the same level that you did, Remy. Okay.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm a hard man to please. I nitpick in my brain. Okay. I look at everything in a movie. That's why I'm going to go see it a second time tomorrow. I look past the foreground. I look at the background, see what's happening back behind these people are acting. I study the blocking. I study the camera work. I study the lighting. I'm looking at this while still enjoying the movie. So I can say that this was a great movie, not a good movie, not an incredible movie. This was a great movie. And when I write my reviews, the people on my pages know that I score between 1 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
The holy trinity of my scoring system is 8, 9, 10. If you cross into the 8 realm, that's almost like the incredible range to be in. Of course, 10 is like, we don't even have to talk. It's
Right.
a 10.
Right.
No discussion. Okay, it's a 10. 10 movies I will go see a billion times. Endgame is one of those movies that's ever made it to 10 from me. Okay, but coming into the ranges of 8 means it deserves a second viewing because it was that good to go back. Okay, my score for this movie was 8.5. 8.5.
Wow.
For people who know me, that's incredibly high coming from me because they know how I am about movies and how I feel about it. And I have friends who are not watching this right now because they haven't seen it, who are going to score higher than me.
Mm-hmm.
They're much like you, Remy. they are going to score higher than me. And that's fine because it's all how you take it. You're not supposed to go out there and convince people that any movie was a 10. It's not your place. You liked it. I felt it was a 10 is what you should say. You can't go to somebody and say this movie is definitely a 10 because that person now has to walk in there thinking they're going to see an over-the-top movie and actually going to come out probably less than that. I prefer spoilers. I only see one teaser and one trailer of every movie that I have ever seen and watched, and I try to scroll past anything that's going to ruin that for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know I can go into a movie theater and I won't see anything that I haven't seen in the trailer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
one trailer. I was surprised. I'm from the age, young people, where we paid to go to a movie theater to see a trailer for an upcoming fantastic movie, and then we leave before the movie comes on or whatever it was playing at. But we knew the trailer was playing at that theater, so we literally buy a ticket to go into that theater just to see the trailer. Okay, because we didn't have DVDs, we didn't have all the internet where we could see trailers. We didn't have none of that. Okay, so
I'll say this: while I didn't grow up in the internet age, I did grow up in on demand. And on demand on Comcast, you used to be able to go and look at the movie trailers months ahead of time. So that's how I got them. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm so old. I think I'm probably twice your age or double your age. Put it that way, not twice your age. But yeah, I probably said it right the first time. Twice your age. So I gave it an 8.5 because to me, it's almost like what you said. There is that 15% that's lacking. That's in that if that 15% was solved, it would have been a 10. It would have been an over-the-top movie, but we've already discussed things about the movie that were deficient. You know, that we said we didn't like. Agreed with everything you said in that respect. The acting was fantastic. The casting was fantastic, -3. You know, I thought it was a great movie. It wasn't a fantastic movie. I'm glad you put it there. I'm really glad you put it there because that actually helps the box office as well. For people thinking, oh, that was fantastic, I want to see it again. That helps the movie, the box office. I'm going to go see it, even though I don't really need to. But I'm going to go see it for two reasons. One, I had already had that ticket purchased through my AMC Stubs Club before I got the early screening to see it last night. You know, so I didn't want to cancel the AMC stuff. I said, after I saw it, I said, okay, you know, I'll go see it again. If it hadn't crossed my 8 realm, okay, I probably wouldn't go see it tomorrow.
Right.
You know, but it did. So I'm going to see it. So yeah. So that's my thought, buddy.
Man, I'm telling you, it's. I would never say it was a perfect movie. I don't think it's there, but it's good enough where I would recommend it to, even if you're not a comic book fan. Hey, you may have watched Superman growing up. I mean, everybody knows Superman. Superman's one of those names like I could go to a 4-year-old down the street who never watched any Superman movies. He knows who Superman is, right?
Yes.
So, but this is one of those things I would recommend everybody to go see because it's not just a good Superman movie. It's a good movie in general. And I think that's why I kind of rated it a little higher, you know?
That's fine. No. Never defend your scores. Never defend your scores. Okay, I mean that's your personal preference, your personal taste is based on your brain, not ours. That's in your heart and in your soul. That's what you got out of it. So never defend it. Don't ever.
And I'm just trying to help you understand why I scored a little bit higher, because you know I really do enjoy the movie. It's one of those things when it comes out on Blu-ray, I might be the first one in line to go get the Blu-ray. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, dude. I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna watch it when it comes on streaming. I'm gonna do everything I can to watch this movie again because we're looking at the beginning of a different direction for this franchise. Absolutely. We really are. We haven't seen this type of Superman movie out of all the iterations that came out. All the iterations were more. Oh, this is stupid, but it was more realistic. Okay, than this one alone. This has so much fantasy involved in it. It's like, you know, where the hell these monsters come from? You know, I don't remember a Superman movie with monsters in it, you know, things of that nature. But yet, it's a comic book character. They started out in the comic books with monsters. It's only when they tried to get the general audiences, literally the general audience, to come to see Superman. My God, man, I'm so old. I saw Superman when the ads were out. And you'll see a man fly. You know, it's like
I was joking around with people before the screening about that. I told it to almost everybody before they went.
It's like you can't do that. You can't make a man fly on camera. You know, and it's like you know. Now it's like it's a no-brainer. You know, you said. And I want this guy to fly around the earth at 100,000 miles an hour and bring it back. And, you know, it was fantastic. James Gunn said he didn't want to do that. That's one of the things he wanted to show how fallible, okay, this character was. He doesn't have that level of power, and that's what you're going to see in this movie. You're going to see a Superman who gets hurt, and I mean he gets hurt a lot, in this movie. So that's my take.
One thing I would like to bring up before we go is
Yes.
I think Disney is going to be shaking in their boots this week. Not only did they fumble the bag on Sinners, which was originally supposed to be the Blade script.
Was it?
Yep. So Sinners was originally the Blade script. Kevin Feige and Disney passed on it, and he took it to Warner Brothers and took all the superhero elements out of it, and that's how he came up with Sinners. So it's the same script. So not only did they fumble the bag on this, but this Superman movie is going to dominate. I hope this is the start of a good direction for Marvel to get their crap together, because their last 10 projects were just terrible, just absolutely terrible.
I think, and we're including the TV series as well, right?
Right. Yes.
All the Marvel TV series as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're stumbling, and I can't see, in all honesty, what can they do?
Right.
I mean, we're saturated with heroes. We have superhero fatigue right now for a lot of people, at least the general audiences. Super loyal, nerdish fans will always go to a Marvel superhero movie or watch a Marvel superhero movie. I haven't watched Ironheart at all because I really have no interest, things of that nature. Yeah, there's superhero fatigue out there, so I'm not sure what it is Marvel can do, right now. What is it you want to see after Fantastic Four, this month? What else is there?
Let's get Tigra.
That's a stretch. Wow. I mean, she's not even a good guy. Well, is she? No.
In Marvel, there's a good guy, Tigra, that was on the part of the Avengers.
Of course. You're right.
But they didn't have the rights to use her until they got the rights from X-Men, because she's a mutant.
Well, see, that bothers me because when you say that, all I can think of right now is Killraven, and we know how that went. Am I saying that right? That's Killraven, right? Yeah. Spider-Man villain.
Oh, Kraven. Yes.
Kraven. Where'd I get Killraven from? Kraven. Yeah, and we see how that went. So that's a big challenge. But then again, James Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy, and I thought that was the biggest challenge, ever. In Marvel history.
I can name 100 directions for Marvel to go to, but I'm a fanboy, so.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You got to entertain me too, so you better come up with something good.
DC Comics, I'm disappointed. They need Static. They need Static Shock. They need Titans. They need all the goodness.
Oh, and there you go. Titans, Teen Titans. Yeah.
If they had Static, if they made a Static movie, it would be rest in peace Marvel, because Static is the popularity in Static, and he hasn't had a property come out since 2004. I mean, he's had comics, but he hasn't had like a major mainstream property since 2004. If they made a Static movie tomorrow and it came out, it would dominate everything out in the media right now. Because not only is he a cool hero, he's got the black community back behind him. He's still popular to this day, despite not having a series out. It is more popular than Spider-Man and Miles Morales, even though he gets compared to him a lot. And Miles Morales' movie did so good. So imagine what a Static Shock movie would do.
I totally enjoyed that. I don't know if I want to see it live action, but I totally enjoyed that Morales movie.
I would love to see a Static Shock movie live action. And I used to tell people, when Man of Steel came out, you do Static Shock, you can introduce the rest of the meta-humans through Static Shock and tie all the movies together. Because I don't know if you're familiar with Static Shock. His powers are because of the Big Bang. What you do is you have Batman invest the Big Bang, and all these meta-human bad guys come from it.
Yeah.
I think you could really have something there, but they won't even touch it. It's all a rights issue kind of thing.
Hey, can you share screens on this? Can your guest?
You gotta put it down on share screen.
Okay, it's settings. No, it's present. So I can do it on my side. So let me see. How do I? Okay, so I should know this by heart. Oh, stupid me. Click that. And let's see what happens here. That would be here. All right. And I do share here. And let's see. Can you?
Yep, it's
Can
up.
you see the screen? Okay, let me see here. All right, let's do this. I'm going to show you somebody who I think would be incredibly proud. Oops. What is this? Get that out. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's James and his brother.
Yep.
When I moderated their panel, but the guy that I always moderated for when I was at a convention. Oh, good grief. Let me go back up here again. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see here. Albums. Sorry, I know we got to go. I know I got to go, but I just wanted to find this for you. Whoops, not that one. Where is my? Sorry, that's in. Oh, come on. Oh, there's Alice Cooper right there. Whoops.
That's so cool.
Where'd he go? I don't know.
It's on the highlight.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can't find it fast enough. But it's Stan Lee. I used to moderate all of Stan Lee's panels.
Oh, it's funny. I got to meet Stanley right before he died. I was so sad. He looked in terrible shape. I felt bad that he was still doing the signings, man.
Yeah, I missed the guy. Why can't I find? I don't know, maybe it's that one. That's okay. I'm not gonna waste my time doing this. But let me get out of this. Stop sharing. Ooh, I guess did I stop share?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
But that's the end of our review. Oh, you got something left to say?
No, I was going to say this was fun. This was fun. That's how I was going to congratulate you.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I loved having you on.
I enjoyed it.
For those of you guys who want to follow Mark, tell them where they can find you on social media.
I am Mark B. Lee, and well, the same with my name here in the tag. Point. How do I do this? Right there. Right there. Mark B. Lee. On Facebook, you can find me there. We do Saturday morning cartoon. This Friday night, we have Classic Television Smackdown. Just come to my page. You can friend me. Let me know how we met. Let's say you can say this show, and I'll bring you on because I just don't friend everybody. So Classic Television Smackdown will be this Friday, and Saturday mornings we do Saturday morning cartoons. End of the month we do voices from fandom here. So I'm around. You can Google my name, I guess, and try to track me down.
And you can find me on all social media under King Remdog or Remington Kais or the Nerd Talk Podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, X, about anywhere you can get social media. So Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I've been your host, Remington Kais, signing out. And we'll see you guys.
Thanks, guys. Yeah. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you.